Good evening. This is a quiet space. Nothing here needs to be followed closely. Nothing needs to be understood. Nothing needs to be remembered. The words are not instructions. They are not meant to guide you anywhere. They are simply present, moving slowly in the background. There is no goal attached to this moment, no outcome to reach, no task waiting to be completed. If the mind listens, that is fine. If it does not, that is also fine. The body is already doing what it needs to do. Breathing continues without effort. The rhythm of it does not require attention. There is no need to adjust anything, no need to change position, no need to improve the experience. This is not a lesson. It is not a practice. It is not a technique. What you hear is based on well-established scientific understanding, not ideas meant to impress, not theories meant to surprise. Just observations that have been measured, repeated, and accepted over time. They will be shared slowly, without urgency, without emphasis. Nothing here is happening quickly, and nothing here requires a response. You do not need to stay with the words. You do not need to follow each sentence as it arrives. If attention drifts, it can drift. If thoughts appear, they can pass. The space between the sentences matters just as much as the sentences themselves. Pauses are allowed. Silence is allowed. The environment remains unchanged. The tone remains even. There will be no sudden shifts. This is a place where nothing new is expected. Nothing surprising is waiting. The body responds well to steadiness, to repetition, to predictability. That steadiness is already here. The sound of the voice is not asking for focus. It is not asking for effort. It is simply present, like any other background sound. If sleep arrives at any point, it can arrive quietly. There is nothing to miss. Nothing that depends on staying awake. And if sleep does not arrive right away, that is not a problem either. Nothing here depends on timing. For now, it is enough to be here, resting, supported, unchanged. The science will continue softly in the background, at the same pace, without direction, just as it does on its own. As the sound continues, there is no need to change anything. The body can remain exactly as it is, supported by the surface beneath it, held without effort. Breathing is already happening. It does not need help. It does not need to be adjusted. Air moves in, air moves out, at a pace set long before this moment. There is no need to notice each breath, no need to follow where it begins or ends. The body understands this rhythm on its own. The weight of the body is already being carried. Nothing needs to be held up. Nothing needs to stay alert. Muscles do not need to release on command. They do not need instructions. They respond naturally when there is no demand. The face may already feel still. The muscles around the eyes, the jaw resting without being held in place. If there is movement, it can happen. If there is stillness, that can remain too. Both are fine. The shoulders rest where they are, not pushed down, not pulled back, just supported. The arms do not need a specific position. They can rest unevenly. They can rest without symmetry. There is no correct placement. Lower in the body, the chest rises and falls, not in a pattern that needs attention, just in response to what the body requires. The abdomen moves gently, without being held. without being controlled. These movements do not need to be noticed closely. They can remain in the background. The legs are supported along their length, from the upper thighs down through the knees. The weight of them is already accounted for. The feet do not need to be warm. They do not need to feel heavy or light. They do not need to feel anything in particular. They can simply be present. If there is tension somewhere in the body, it does not need to disappear. It does not need to be fixed. The body does not require total relaxation in order to rest. It only requires time and the absence of pressure. As the environment remains quiet, the nervous system begins to notice that nothing is being asked of it. There is no task to respond to, no signal that requires action. This is often when the body begins to settle on its own. Not suddenly, not all at once, but gradually. Breathing continues at its own pace, unaffected by attention, unaffected by thought. If the mind wanders, that does not interrupt the process. If attention fades, the body continues anyway. The voice remains steady. It does not ask for participation. It remains in the background, predictable, unchanged. There is nowhere else to be right now, nothing else to prepare for. The night does not require readiness. The body can continue resting exactly as it is, supported, breathing, unaltered. There is nothing more to do in this moment. The body already knows how to remain here. As the body remains supported, many processes continue without being noticed. They do not wait for attention. They do not depend on awareness. They unfold quietly, following patterns that have been in place for a long time. Breathing is one of these processes. So is the steady movement of the heart. So is the gradual adjustment of muscles and posture over time. None of these require supervision. They continue whether they are observed or not. The body is shaped by rhythm, not sharp changes, not sudden shifts. Most internal activity moves gradually, adjusting in small increments that are easy to overlook. Temperature changes slowly across the night. Light fades without a clear moment of transition. Sound settles as the environment becomes more still. There is rarely a single point where one state ends and another begins. Instead, there is overlap. The body is familiar with this kind of movement. It developed within environments where change happens slowly and predictably. Because of that, steady patterns tend to feel neutral. They do not signal urgency. They do not ask for reaction. Breathing follows this same principle. It does not start and stop. It does not reset. It continues, adjusting moment by moment, without requiring instruction. At times, it may feel more noticeable. At other times, it may fade into the background. Both are normal. The body does not treat either as a problem. Many internal systems work this way. They are guided by conditions rather than commands. When oxygen levels shift slightly, breathing adjusts. When the body rests, demands decrease. These changes happen automatically. There is no need for planning, no need for decision. This is not something that needs to be learned. It is already in place. The nervous system is designed to respond to what is present. When the environment remains quiet and unchanged, activity tends to soften, not because it is forced to, but because there is nothing pressing to respond to. In this kind of setting, effort becomes unnecessary. Processes continue at the pace they require, not faster, not slower, just steady. Breathing remains part of that background activity. It supports the body without calling attention to itself. It does not ask to be controlled. It does not ask to be improved. It functions best when it is allowed to remain ordinary. As these rhythms continue, attention does not need to stay focused. It can narrow, it can widen, it can drift without interrupting anything. The body does not lose its balance when attention fades. It does not lose its rhythm. Everything that needs to continue, continues. The voice remains present, not to direct these processes, but to stay consistent alongside them. It follows the same unhurried pace. Nothing new is being introduced here. Nothing unexpected is waiting. The same patterns repeat, quietly, evenly. And as they do, the boundary between listening and resting can soften. There is no need to notice when that happens. The process does not require awareness. It moves forward on its own. As these steady rhythms continue, breathing remains one of the most consistent. It does not wait for instruction. It does not pause to check for attention. It continues because the conditions for it are already in place. Long before there is awareness of breathing, the body is already doing it. Long before there is language to describe it, the rhythm is present. This is understood clearly in physiology. Breathing is not something that must be managed moment by moment. It is maintained automatically. There are systems in the body that regulate it continuously, quietly, reliably. They do not rely on thought. They do not rely on effort. They respond to internal conditions, not to conscious plans. When oxygen levels shift slightly, breathing adjusts. When carbon dioxide levels change, the rhythm adapts. These adjustments happen without being noticed. They do not announce themselves. They do not require approval. This process does not stop when attention moves elsewhere. It does not become less effective when it is ignored. In many cases, it works best that way. Breathing is not a task to complete. It is a background function. It continues in the same way whether the mind is busy or quiet. This is why it can remain steady even during sleep, even during deep rest, even when awareness is minimal. The body does not forget how to breathe. It does not need reminders. The regulation happens at a level that remains active at all times, not switching on and off, not changing direction abruptly, just continuing. From one moment to the next, the changes are small, often too small to feel. The pace may shift slightly, the depth may vary. These variations are normal. They do not indicate a problem. They do not need correction. They reflect the body responding to its current state. When the environment is quiet, demands tend to be lower. When the body is supported, effort decreases. Breathing responds accordingly, not because it is being guided, but because it is sensitive to conditions. This sensitivity does not require attention. It does not improve with monitoring. It functions without supervision. Because of this, there is no need to stay aware of each breath, no need to follow the rhythm closely. The process does not benefit from observation. It continues whether it is observed or not. In everyday life, this automatic regulation is easy to overlook because it is constant, because it does not draw attention. It only becomes noticeable when something changes significantly. Here, nothing is changing quickly. The surroundings remain steady. The position of the body remains supported. There is no signal that requires a response, so breathing remains even, unremarkable. background. It does not move toward a goal. It does not build toward an outcome. It simply continues. As this understanding settles, there is less need to stay engaged with the details. The words can be heard without being processed. They can remain as sound. Breathing continues alongside them, unaffected by meaning, unaffected by interpretation. The rhythm does not depend on listening. It does not slow down because attention drifts. It does not speed up because thoughts appear. It remains part of the body's steady activity, reliable, ongoing. There is nothing here that needs to be managed. The body already handles what it needs to handle. Breathing remains in the background, doing its work quietly, without effort. And as it does, there is no requirement to stay alert. Nothing needs to be anticipated. The process continues at its own pace, just as it always has. As breathing continues in the background, it is supported by parts of the body that remain active without awareness. This support does not come from thinking. It does not come from intention. It comes from systems designed to operate quietly. Within the body, there are regions of the brain involved in maintaining basic rhythms. They are not involved in planning. They are not involved in decision-making. Their role is simple. They help keep essential processes moving. Breathing is one of those processes. These regions remain active during sleep. They remain active when attention fades. They remain active even when consciousness is minimal. They do not switch off. They do not wait for instruction. Because of this, breathing continues whether or not it is being noticed. The brain does not need to check on it constantly. It does not need reminders. The regulation happens continuously, at a level that remains stable. This stability is important. It allows breathing to remain consistent without effort, without interruption. There is no requirement to stay aware of what the brain is doing. The process does not become more effective when it is understood. It functions the same way regardless. In many cases, it functions more smoothly when it is left alone. The brain responds to internal signals rather than external attention. It adjusts based on what the body requires in that moment. When the body rests, demands tend to decrease. When demands decrease, activity often softens. These shifts are gradual. They do not happen all at once. They do not need to be noticed. The brain does not announce these changes. It simply continues responding. This is part of why breathing remains steady during rest. Even when awareness becomes less clear, even when thoughts become fragmented. The process does not depend on mental focus. It does not depend on listening. It continues because it is part of a larger system that remains active at all times. There is no advantage to monitoring it closely. The body does not require supervision in order to remain balanced. Breathing is supported automatically, in the same way that posture adjusts automatically over time, in the same way that heart rhythm adapts without instruction. These processes are not separate from one another. They work together quietly. They do not compete for attention. When nothing in the environment demands a response, activity tends to settle. Not because it is being forced to, but because there is no reason to remain alert. The brain does not need to stay in an active state when conditions remain unchanged. This does not mean that activity stops. It means that activity becomes less pronounced, more even, more background. Breathing reflects this shift naturally. It does not need to be guided into calmness. It adjusts as part of the overall state of the body. As the surroundings remain quiet and the body remains supported, the same patterns continue. Breathing remains steady. The brain continues its role quietly. Nothing needs to be controlled. Nothing needs to be improved. The words you hear do not change how these systems function. They are simply present alongside them. If attention drifts away from the explanation, the process continues anyway. If sleep begins to arrive, the process continues as well. The brain does not require awareness in order to maintain breathing. It has been doing this work for a long time, and it will continue doing it without effort, whether or not it is noticed. As these systems continue working quietly, calm does not need to be created. It is not something that has to be added. It often appears when there is less demand. Calm, in this sense, is not an emotion. It is not a feeling that needs to be reached. It is simply a state where fewer responses are required. When the environment remains steady, the body does not need to prepare for change. When nothing unexpected occurs, alertness becomes unnecessary. This is not something the body has to decide. It happens naturally. Calm emerges when there is no signal asking for action, no request for movement, no need to react. In these conditions, activity tends to soften, not because it is being pushed in that direction, but because there is nothing pulling it elsewhere. The nervous system responds to what is present. When demands are low, responses become smaller. This does not mean that the body stops functioning. It means that functioning becomes quieter. Breathing remains steady. Heart rhythm remains consistent. Muscle activity becomes less pronounced. These shifts are physical. They do not rely on intention. They do not require effort. Trying to become calm is not part of this process. Monitoring calm is not required. In many cases, calm appears only when it is no longer being checked. It is a byproduct of conditions, not a goal. When the body is supported and nothing is expected of it, there is no reason to remain tense. This does not require relaxation in the usual sense. Muscles do not need to release fully. Thoughts do not need to disappear. Calm can exist alongside small movements, alongside passing thoughts. It does not demand stillness. It only depends on the absence of pressure. As the surroundings remain unchanged, the body recognizes that there is no urgency. There is no advantage in staying alert. So activity continues at a lower intensity. Breathing reflects this without needing direction. The brain reflects this without needing instruction. Nothing needs to be controlled for this to happen. Calm is not something that arrives all at once. It settles gradually, often without being noticed. One moment blends into the next without a clear boundary. The body does not mark the transition. It does not announce that calm has arrived. It simply adjusts. In this state, effort becomes unnecessary. Listening does not need to be active. Attention does not need to stay focused. The words can pass through without being processed. They can remain as sound. Breathing continues in the background. The brain continues its quiet work. Nothing is being asked of them. Nothing is being changed. This is not a special state. It is a natural response to steady conditions. When there is no demand, the system does not create one. Calm remains present as long as nothing interrupts it. And here, nothing is interrupting it. The same patterns continue, quietly, evenly. There is no need to notice this happening. The process does not require awareness. It continues on its own. As everything remains steady, the same patterns continue. Breathing goes on. It does not change direction. It does not require attention. The body remains supported. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The environment stays quiet. The sound of the voice remains even. There are no new signals. Breathing continues in the background. It has no beginning that needs to be noticed, no end that needs to be marked. It moves at its own pace. The body does not ask for more. It does not ask for less. It simply continues. The same rhythm repeats, quietly, evenly. There is no need to check whether it is happening correctly. There is no correct way for it to happen. Breathing has already been doing this for a long time. The brain remains active in the same steady way, not changing its role, not shifting its focus. It continues supporting what needs to continue. Nothing new is being introduced. Nothing is being explained further. The words repeat familiar ideas, not to reinforce meaning, but to maintain rhythm. Breathing continues. The body remains supported. The environment stays unchanged. These conditions do not require response. They do not create urgency. The nervous system remains aware that nothing is being asked of it. Because of that, activity does not need to rise. It remains at the same level, low, even, background. Breathing remains part of this background. It does not stand out. It does not draw attention. It simply stays present. The sound of the voice does not shift in tone. It does not move toward emphasis. It does not introduce variation. It remains predictable. This predictability does not need to be noticed. The body responds to it without effort. Breathing continues whether it is heard or not, whether the words are followed or not. It does not depend on listening. The same ideas return again. Breathing continues. The body remains supported. Nothing changes. There is no advantage in staying alert for what comes next. The pace remains the same. There are no transitions to anticipate. The repetition is intentional. When information stops changing, the brain no longer needs to monitor closely. It can remain open without tracking details. Words may begin to blur together. Pauses may feel longer. This does not require attention. It can happen without being noticed. Breathing continues in the same way it always has. Quiet, reliable. The body remains where it is, supported, unchanged. There is nothing else to do here. The same rhythm repeats and continues. By now, there is no need to keep track of what has already been said. Nothing here depends on remembering details. Nothing is building toward a conclusion. The same patterns continue whether they are followed or not. Breathing remains steady. The body stays supported. The environment does not change. There is no signal that something new is about to happen. The words return to the same ideas, not to add meaning, not to move the story forward, just to maintain the same rhythm. At this point, listening closely no longer offers any advantage. The information does not become more complex. The pace does not increase. Everything continues as it has been. If attention begins to fade, nothing is lost. If awareness drifts away, the process remains the same. Breathing continues without interruption. The body does not respond differently. The systems supporting this moment do not require awareness. They do not change when they are not observed. This is often when words stop forming clear ideas. Sentences may still be heard, but they no longer need to be interpreted. They can remain as sound. The voice continues at the same pace. It does not ask to be followed. It does not invite engagement. It simply stays present. There is no benefit in staying alert for what comes next. The rhythm does not shift. The content does not change direction. Nothing here requires preparation. If sleep arrives now, it arrives naturally, without announcement, without effort. If it does not arrive right away, that is also fine. Nothing here depends on timing. The body remains supported. Breathing continues as it always has. There is no task to complete, no point to reach. The repetition is intentional. When information stops changing, the brain no longer needs to stay attentive. It can remain open without monitoring. From here on, there is no need to follow the structure of the words. They do not lead anywhere. They simply continue. The same ideas return. Breathing continues. The environment stays quiet. Nothing is different, and there is no need to notice that. As the same rhythm continues, there is less need for words to carry meaning. They can remain as sound, moving at a steady pace, without forming clear ideas. Breathing continues in the background, unchanged, unaffected. The body remains supported. There is no shift in position, no adjustment required. The environment stays quiet. The tone does not vary. Nothing new is introduced. Words may begin to blend together. Pauses may feel longer. This does not need attention. The rhythm remains the same, predictable, even. Breathing continues without being guided. It does not respond to listening. It does not change when attention fades. The voice remains present, not to explain, not to lead, just to remain steady. There is no need to notice where one sentence ends and another begins. Meaning becomes less important. Sound remains. The body does not require instruction now. It already knows how to remain still. It already knows how to rest. Breathing continues, the same pace, the same pattern. Nothing here is moving toward an outcome. There is no signal that something is about to change. The repetition remains gentle. The rhythm does not shift. Listening can become passive, or it can fade entirely. Both are fine. The words do not need to be held in mind. They do not need to be remembered. They pass and continue passing. The body remains where it is, supported, unchanged. Breathing remains part of the background, reliable, ongoing. The voice does not increase or decrease in intensity. It does not move toward emphasis. It stays even. Time may begin to feel less distinct. Minutes do not need to be counted. There is no sequence to follow. The same ideas return, quietly, without variation. This is not something to focus on. It can happen without awareness. Breathing continues alongside the sound. The body remains settled. Nothing needs to be completed. The rhythm remains and continues. The rhythm continues. Nothing changes. Breathing remains steady, quiet, background. The body stays supported, unmoved, unchanged. There is no shift in tone, no change in pace. The same pattern repeats. Breathing continues. It does not need attention. It does not respond to listening. The sound of the voice remains even. It does not ask to be followed. Words arrive, then pass. They do not need to connect. They do not need to form meaning. Pauses remain, long enough, consistent. Breathing continues alongside the sound, unaffected. The body does not adjust. It does not prepare. Nothing is required. The environment stays quiet, predictable, still. There is no signal to notice, no moment to mark. The repetition continues. Breathing remains present. The same pace, the same rhythm. Nothing moves forward. Nothing resolves. The words do not lead anywhere. They remain, then fade. Silence between them is enough. Breathing continues. The body remains supported. There is no need to stay awake for this. The same ideas repeat, without variation. Sound remains. Meaning softens. Nothing needs to be held in mind. The rhythm continues, even, unchanged. The same rhythm remains. Nothing shifts, nothing resolves. Breathing continues. Quiet, unchanged. The body stays supported. There is no need to notice it. The sound of the voice remains present, but it no longer needs to be followed. Words arrive, then soften. Sentences do not need to be completed. Pauses are enough. Breathing continues in the background. It does not respond to attention. It does not change when awareness fades. The environment remains the same. No new signals appear. There is no direction here, no movement toward an ending. The repetition stays gentle, even. Time does not need to be measured. Moments do not need to be counted. The words no longer carry information. They carry rhythm. That rhythm does not need to be understood. It can remain in the background, like distant motion, like something steady and ongoing. If sleep has already arrived, nothing changes. If awareness returns briefly, it can drift again. Nothing here depends on attention. Breathing continues. The body remains where it is. The same patterns repeat, quietly. There is no conclusion waiting, no final thought to reach. The process does not stop. It continues without being noticed. The night continues. The rhythm remains, and the sound stays soft.